The galaxy was vast, filled with countless species, each with their own quirks, strengths, and weaknesses. But among them all, there was one creature that stood out, not for her size, but for the aura of danger that surrounded her. Her name was Zynara, a tiny alien girl no taller than 3 feet, with shimmering silver skin, luminescent violet eyes, and a crown of delicate, crystalline tendrils that swayed like seaweed in water. She was a Xyphor, a species so rare that most believed they were extinct. And for good reason. Zanara was a living weapon. No one dared to mess with her. Not the brutish Krogans, who could crush boulders with their bare hands. Not the sleek, predatory Zarathians, who could move faster than the eye could see. Not even the technologically advanced Valnarians, who could manipulate matter at the molecular level. They all knew better. Zanara's kind had once ruled the galaxy, their psychic abilities so potent they could reduce entire civilizations to ash with a single thought. But the Xyphors had turned on each other, their wars leading to their near extinction. Zanara was one of the last, and she carried the weight of her species' legacy. She wandered the galaxy alone, a silent, enigmatic figure. Those who crossed her path either fled in terror or met a swift, merciless end. Her reputation grew, and soon, the mere mention of her name was enough to send shivers down the spines of even the most hardened mercenaries. But everything changed the day she encountered a human. The human's name was Jace Carter, a freelance pilot and smuggler who had a knack for getting into trouble. He was tall, with scruffy brown hair, a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, and a sarcastic grin that had gotten him out of more scrapes than he cared to admit. Jace wasn't a hero. He was just a guy trying to make a living in a galaxy that didn't care about him. But he had one thing most others didn't: a complete lack of fear when it came to the unknown. Jace first heard about Zanara in a seedy bar on the outskirts of the Andromeda system. The patrons whispered her name like a curse, their voices trembling with fear. They spoke of a tiny alien girl who could kill with a glance, who had single-handedly wiped out an entire pirate fleet. Jace, being Jace, didn't believe a word of it. To him, it sounded like the kind of tall-tale drunks told to impress each other. "Sounds like a load of nonsense," he muttered, downing the last of his drink. No way something that small could be that dangerous. The bartender, a grizzled old Zarathian, leaned in close. "You be wise to keep your mouth shut, human. If she hears you talking like that, you're as good as dead." Jace just laughed. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind." A week later, Jace found himself stranded on a remote moon after his ship's engine gave out. He was tinkering with the machinery, cursing under his breath, when he felt a strange presence behind him. He turned around, and there she was, Zanara. She stood in the shadows, her violet eyes glowing like twin stars. Her crystalline tendrils swayed gently, catching the faint light of the moon's twin suns. Jace froze, his heart pounding in his chest. For the first time in his life, he felt a flicker of fear, but it was quickly replaced by curiosity. Hi there," he said, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "You lost or something?" Zanara tilted her head, studying him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. She didn't speak, but he could feel her presence in his mind, probing, searching. It was like being X-rayed by a particularly nosy TSA agent. "Look, I don't know what you want," Jace said, trying to keep his voice steady. "But I'm just a guy trying to fix his ship. If you're here to kill me, can you at least let me finish this weld first? I'd hate to die with the job half done." To his surprise, Zanara's lips twitched into something resembling a smile. She stepped closer, her movements graceful and deliberate. Jace held his ground, though every instinct screamed at him to run. "You're different," she said, her voice soft and melodic, like the chime of a distant bell. "Most creatures cower in fear when they see me. But you're not afraid. Jace shrugged. I've faced worse. Besides, you're not exactly what I expected. Zanara's eyes narrowed. And what did you expect? I don't know. Something bigger, I guess. Maybe with more tentacles. She stared at him for a moment, then let out a sound that might have been a laugh. It was a strange, alien sound, but it broke the tension. Jace grinned. See? You're not so scary after all. Over the next few days, Zynara stayed with Jace as he worked on his ship. She didn't say much, but she watched him with a fascination that bordered on obsession. Jace, for his part, treated her like she was just another person, albeit a very strange one. He joked with her, shared his rations, and even taught her how to play a card game he called space poker. To his surprise, she was a quick learner. But as they grew closer, Jace began to notice something unsettling. Zynara's powers were real, and they were terrifying. He saw her reduce a pack of wild predators to dust with a single glance. He felt the raw, destructive energy that radiated from her whenever she was angry or upset, and yet she never used her powers on him. In fact, she seemed to go out of her way to protect him. "Why do you stick around?" he asked her one night as they sat by the campfire. "I mean, you could go anywhere, do anything. Why waste your time with a guy like me?" Zanara was silent for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Because you see me as more than a weapon. You see me as a person." Jace frowned. "Isn't that what you are?" She shook her head. "To most, I am a monster. A relic of a dead civilization. But you treat me as an equal. And for that, I'm grateful." Jace didn't know what to say to that. So he just nodded and handed her another card. "Your turn." Their peaceful coexistence didn't last long. Word of Zynara's whereabouts spread, and soon, bounty hunters and mercenaries descended on the moon, eager to claim the prize on her head. Jace tried to reason with them, but they weren't interested in talking. They saw Zanara as a threat, and they were determined to eliminate her. What they didn't realize was that Zynara wasn't the only dangerous one. As the first wave of attackers closed in, Jace grabbed a blaster and stood by Zanara's side. "You take the left, I'll take the right," he said, his voice steady. Zanara looked at him, her eyes filled with something he couldn't quite place. "You don't have to do this," she said. "I can handle them on my own." Jace grinned. "Yeah, but where's the fun in that?" Together, they fought off wave after wave of attackers. Zynara's powers were devastating, but Jace held his own, his quick thinking and resourcefulness proving to be a perfect match for her raw strength. By the time the last mercenary fell, the moon was littered with the remains of their enemies. Zynara turned to Jace, her expression unreadable. "You are remarkable," she said. Jace shrugged. "Just doing my job." In the end, Zanara decided to stay with Jace. She had found something she hadn't known she was looking for. A friend. And Jace, for all his bravado, knew that he had stumbled upon something extraordinary.